Americans for Fair Taxation presents the Weekly Chairman's Report, written by Steve Hayes, president of Americans for Fair Taxation, and recorded by Bob Paxton, a volunteer with the Florida FAIRtax Educational Association. And now, this week's Chairman's Report.
Hello, I'm Bob Paxton with the AFFT Chairman's Report for Friday, January 31st, 2025. Today's Chairman's Report is guest authored by Roger Buchholtz. Roger has founded and served as president for 5 corporations with operations in Michigan, Florida, and Illinois. He's on the Americans for Fair Taxation Board of Governors and is a very active and very effective supporter of the fair tax. Here is his article entitled, "A Tax for Trump and America." President Trump has said he wants to eliminate the income tax and create an external revenue service. His tariffs will be a primary revenue source for the ERS, but that revenue would likely be insufficient to fund our government even if it's reduced in size. A simple flat income tax has been suggested by some, but such a tax will remain neither simple nor flat for very long. The income tax in 1913 started out as a simple flat tax. Every tax reform effort since then has been to make the tax simpler and flatter, but where are we today? We have a more complicated, incomprehensible, intrusive, inefficient tax system than ever. And worse yet, it's impossible to comply with our current income tax code. Because of all this, all taxpayers are in violation of the law and therefore subject to criminal prosecution at the whim of IRS personnel or corrupt politicians. Any income tax is partially hidden and is paid at every stage of production of American-made goods and services, and it adds about 20% to the finished prices we pay. This places American products at a roughly 20% competitive disadvantage to foreign-produced goods and services, which generally come into the United States untaxed. Tariff opponents claim that tariffs will raise prices on foreign products, but they fail to point out that income taxes raise the prices much more so on American-made products, which are a much larger portion of American consumer purchases. A flat income tax will allow the resale of all the tax favors that have gotten our current income tax code to where it is today. More lobbyist money goes to D.C. to buy tax favors than any other purpose. This lobby money corrupts our representative form of government because our representatives do not need to talk to constituents when there's someone standing in their doorway with all the money they need to finance their reelection and often piggy bank for themselves and their friends. The simplest flat tax is a retail sales tax with no exceptions or exemptions. A sales tax could be readily collected by the states and remitted to the ERS. Millions of dollars have been spent on researching this concept by some of America's top economists, and a bill is now before Congress, H.R. 25, the FAIRtax Act. Everyone pays the retail sales tax every time they make a retail purchase, so it's very visible. This visibility creates a natural limiter to the level of taxation. The FAIRtax proposal and the research behind it can be viewed at fairtax.org. Reduced government spending and tariff revenues would allow a lower H.R. 25 tax rate than stated. Our current income tax system costs our economy more than it collects when collection and compliance costs and the cost of less than optimal financial decisions for tax minimization purposes are included. With a retail sales tax, collection and compliance costs are reduced by 90%, and less than optimal financial decisions to minimize taxation are eliminated as the sales tax is paid only on retail purchases. There are no business-to-business taxes under the fair tax. America will have the most attractive business environment in the world, with tariffs protecting American businesses and the fair tax eliminating their income taxes. The passage of a flat income tax will delay true tax reform for another generation. Don't be fooled. Our founding fathers thrice prohibited an income-type tax in the Constitution, and it was for good reasons, one of which is that such direct taxes to the individual or organization are subject to abuse, as we have all witnessed. Another problem is that any income tax is applied to income earned when a person or organization is being productive, such as working, investing, savings, etc. And an income tax is a reduction in the reward for productive behavior. It is counterproductive for a society and economy to punish productive behavior. Consumption taxes, like sales taxes and tariffs, minimize this drag on our economy and, as pointed out above, improves our competitiveness with foreign-produced goods and services by about 20%. The elimination of productive behavior punishment and improved competitiveness would provide us with a permanent economic stimulus. Income taxes tend to corrupt our elected officials and create excessive lobby influence. This was not intended by our founding fathers. A retail sales tax returns the power of the people and reinforces our representative form of government. Economists and political scientists readily recognize the desirability of consumption taxes. If President Trump can get this through Congress, we could more easily handle our national debt due to the resulting more robust economy. What a legacy that would be! Congress, however, can be an impediment as the fair tax reduces their power and money largesse. Passage will require presidential leadership, probably the Department of Government Efficiency, and pressure from the people. In conclusion, Roger's a businessman who has experienced the drag on business development created by the income tax and the IRS. Of course, the best course of action is not only to repeal the income tax and abolish the IRS, but also repeal the 16th Amendment as well, so no future administration can ever shackle the American people with an income tax again. We must come together and ensure that real tax reform, the fair tax, is not subverted by the elites in D.C. This will take the diligent efforts from all of us. We need your financial assistance, and we need your grassroots assistance. If you have any contacts that will allow us to get more information to President Trump about the fair tax, please let us know. Also, please email us at info@fairtax.org, and we'll give you some options on how you can best help us. At a minimum, please call your congressional representative and ask if he or she supports the fair tax. If so, thank him or her for their support and suggest they become a co-sponsor of H.R. 25 if they're not one already. If not, ask why not. Now, if your representative claims to be unfamiliar with the fair tax, offer to have someone come to their office and explain it to them. The solution: pass the fair tax. Now, why would D.C. pass the fair tax and give up an almost unlimited source of donations? Well, they won't, at least not voluntarily. The only way they will is if the rest of us demand it. Isn't it time to end this ludicrous tax collection system and the IRS along with it? Help us bring about real tax reform and stop future IRS abuses. By contributing or investing $10.40 a month, you help provide a financial base to Americans for fair taxation. Now, if you can make larger contributions/investments, these will be used not for salaries, as we're all volunteers, but for the needed updates to our economic studies, which will be vital for all future years. Please go to FAIRtax.org to invest in AFFT and help us pass the fair tax. It's an investment in your and your family's future.
This has been the Weekly Chairman's Report, written by Steve Hayes, President of Americans for Fair Taxation. Check back every week for news and information about the fair tax, and learn why the fair tax should replace our antiquated federal income tax system. If you'd like to receive a copy of the Chairman's Report in your inbox every week, sign up at FAIRtax.org.